Welcome to the Code with Jason meetup. Today it's another live coding session on SaturnCI. I'll share my screen for you. Here we are. I'll make the font size a little bit bigger and let's see what I was up to last time. So you can see my comment here says to do next, cache the build. So let's talk about that for a second. Here's the UI for SaturnCI. If you look here under these indicators, status indicators, you can see the run times. 4 minutes, 14 seconds, 4 minutes, 36 seconds. But then if you compare that to the runtime of the tests, it's quite a bit different. Let's see. Yeah, finished in 16.29 seconds, 20.89 seconds. So it takes like 5 minutes to run a test suite that takes just a handful of seconds to run. By the way, welcome, Nick. Um, Nick, you didn't miss much. I'm just describing what I was about to do. I left myself a comment last time that said to do next, cache the build, and I'm just kind of explaining why I'm wanting to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Um, so again, the test suite only takes, like 20 seconds to run, but the whole test suite takes like 5 minutes to run. So there's a lot of overhead there. So I want to minimize the overhead as much as I can. Some of it is unavoidable, like the time it takes to initialize a DigitalOcean droplet, for example. That is, we'll say that's unavoidable, even though that maybe technically we could get around that. But um, the Docker build is certainly avoidable because that can be cached. Okay. Um, and I actually had started to go down this road many sessions ago of caching this build, but the development cycle was too tedious because whenever I kicked off a build, well, whenever I made a change, I would have to run a build to test my change. And in order to see if my change was working, I would either have to wait for the whole thing to finish or I would have to SSH into the machine, which required a lot of manual steps. And that was just like really annoying. And so I decided to speed up that process by adding the ability to conveniently SSH into the machine using only the terminal. And by the way, Nick, I just want to show you real quick. Um, if memory serves, I did finish implementing your suggestion. I don't think we got to the point last time where this was actually working. I think I did this offline, but now you can see it says Intel connection details dot refresh dot IP address.
Okay, yeah. Uh, like I said, I wasn't sure if it was a bad idea. I was just trying to kind of think through what we were trying to do, and that's what kept coming up into my mind. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I like it. Yeah, and there's stuff that we could conceivably improve about this. Like, for example, I think it's oh wait, I already did it. Okay, I was gonna say that I think it's weird that we have to do refresh again down here, which we were doing before, but apparently I fixed that. Um, okay, anyway, that's not what we're focusing on today. Let's turn our attention now to the Docker build. Okay, so the question I have for myself here is what exactly do I want to cache and how do I want to cache it? Do I want to cache the entire build as one thing, the entire Docker Compose build as one thing? Or do I want to cache each individual part? Like, do I want to cache the gem install, for example? I guess the benefit of caching the individual parts would be that if one part changes, it would only bust the cache for that part. It wouldn't bust the cache for the whole thing. But what are the various steps of the build? Docker file. Okay, so oh yeah, bundle install, then yarn install. Okay. Yeah, it seems logical to cache these things separately. And I think like if I were to, for example, like just cache the entire Docker build um as a first step, because maybe let's say I think that's easier, that work would just have to be thrown away when I later cache these two things separately. So I don't think I want to try to go incremental like that because I don't think it's maybe it's not really all that incremental. I can't build on the previous steps. So maybe I just want to go straight to caching these individual parts. Any thoughts on that, Nick?
I'll be honest, I'm fairly new with Docker as of the last few months. And so I guess the exposure that I've had is probably doing what you're saying is caching the individual steps
Mm-hmm.
opposed to doing the full like a full cache of the entire build. So no, I don't have any real deep thought. I'm fairly like I said, I'm fairly new to working with Docker as of the last couple of months.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, let's ask ChatGPT some questions about this. I'm going to say I'm building a CI platform. Um, I want to cache the various parts of my build, for example, the bundle install and the yarn install. Um, my builds happen on independent virtual machines, so the caching needs to be done outside of the VMs. Help me figure out how to do this. Ask me any questions you feel would be helpful. By the way, how long have you been programming, Nick?
A couple of years. I I worked as a Ruby on Rails developer for 4 years
Mm-hmm.
so far. That's the extent of my professional experience. So I've had one job, which is working with Ruby on Rails, and then I just was more of a hobbyist programmer for a few years prior to having that role.
Got it. Okay.
I'm in
Okay.
that kind of strange place where I was promoted to mid-level, but I feel still very junior in some ways.
Okay. And where are you working now?
I'm the company did some downsizing, and so,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I'm just in the process of strengthening my skills and looking for the next opportunity.
Okay. Yeah. Common story right now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, dear viewer, hire Nick. Okay. Identify cacheable dependencies. Yeah, already did that. Choose a storage solution. Okay. Oh, I should have mentioned to it that I'm on DigitalOcean. I feel like it should have asked me. Implement caching. Okay. Let's get more specific. I'm on DigitalOcean. Let's focus on the bundle caching first. Why is it not? Oh, because it is still like typing. Stop. And Nick, I haven't been on the job boards in a while. I do take a peek once in a while just out of curiosity. How are how are things looking on the job boards?
Well, a lot of senior roles are being posted.
Hmm.
I think that's to be expected. The few callbacks that I've had for Ruby on Rails jobs, unfortunately, I was kind of dismissed early due to not
Okay.
having extensive experience with React or a strong front end framework.
Oh,
The company I worked at, we primarily worked with a Ruby on Rails 6 application, but we didn't work with any client side frameworks like React or Vue or Angular. We kind of took an approach of a bit more of a minimal JavaScript implementation. Um,
yeah. Yeah,
we
which I
leveraged
think is smart.
Stimulus once we upgraded. So
Okay. Yeah, it's really unfortunate how many places have cargo culted React, and now you have to have React experience in order to. And then if you actually get the job, it's like then shit. Well, now I gotta like code in React all the time,
yeah,
have all this needless complexity.
for sure. And I guess that's to be expected. I think a lot of companies have Rails APIs and then one of the frameworks in the front end for their client.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. Um, okay, let's see. Configure your CI environment, blah blah blah. Okay, don't care about that. Okay. Give me at a very high level a conceptual description of what I need to do. Be very concise. What I want is like a plan that I can then follow. Okay, generate a cache key. Check for cache dependencies. Okay. That sounds like decent for the ultimate goal, but as far as the implementation, I think I want to make things a little easier on myself. I think I want to make my initial goal just to take the gems and store them in the cloud. I'll tell that to ChatGPT. I think for my first step, in order to make the development process easier, I want to just take the gems installed by bundle install, um, put them in a zip file or whatever, and upload the file to the cloud. Okay, install gems and create zip file, upload zip file to DigitalOcean spaces. Okay, maybe I can even do some of this stuff manually the first time around, and then bit by bit I can encode it, or maybe I'll just encode it from the beginning. I don't know. Okay, install gems and create zip file. Okay, vendor bundle. Okay, vendor bundle. I actually don't know. I don't know a ton about how bundler works. Vendor. Yeah, right now there's nothing in there. So like, how do I make bundler install to vendor bundler? I'm also going to ask, and why there as opposed to some other place? I had a dark thought the other day, Nick.
Yeah,
Um, you know, people say the economy is cyclical, but that's not really true. It's just like subject to uh, well, complex interaction and stuff like that. Sometimes it goes up and sometimes it goes down. it's not really a cycle. Um, but you know, every time in the past that it's gone down, it has gone back up again.
Yeah,
Um, but that's not the same thing as like every shrinkage of a profession bouncing back.
yeah.
Sometimes industries and professions shrink in kind of a permanent way. And my dark thought is that we don't know that it's not the case, that this layoff, this this huge uh what do you call it? Surge of layoffs, however you want to put it. Um Maybe this is just kind of the way things are now. Like the world has realized that it can get by with way fewer developers.
I have that thought as well at times. I try not to entertain it too long because it can get discouraging, and obviously I'm invested in wanting to get another job and
Yeah.
be on with this career, but I wonder the same at times.
Yeah. And the next question I ask myself is, if that's true, what does one do about it?
Mhm.
And it seems like the answer is you just have to like out compete everybody else somehow.
Yeah, and right now people are really, as far as the job boards, they're really wanting some deep knowledge and experience, and that's why when I initially was laid off, I thought about going into some different types of technology, and I thought, well,
Hmm.
my experience is on Ruby on Rails. I like writing Ruby. I like writing in Rails, so I'm just going to dig deeper with that. And
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like most people, I hate to say it, most people aren't very smart. And so there's a lot of people out there who are really experienced, but they're actually not very good because they're not very smart. Maybe they have 10 years of experience, but they really have like 1 year of experience 10 times, you know?
yeah,
And maybe you, even with like 4 years of experience, you might be better than somebody with 15 years of experience. But the trick is to find some way to demonstrate that in a believable way to somebody who has the power to hire you.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah.
which is obviously like non-trivial.
No, it isn't. But I agree. I think it's trying, yeah, and getting yourself visible. There's so many people that are applying to these jobs right now. The numbers, if you go by some of the numbers that you see on sites like LinkedIn, where it shows you how many people have applied, that's daunting because
Yeah.
it's hundreds and thousands of people. And how do you stand out? How do you
Yeah.
get visibility? And
Yeah. Yeah, part of my thought process is, well, first of all, in the last few years, I've had rounds where I've applied to jobs and it's been really tough for me. And people have been surprised to hear that because
yeah,
of my level of visibility in the Ruby community. But I found that that doesn't always help much. If people think that people are beating down my door to hire me, they're not. And so after like a bunch of times of like having really rough experiences with interviewing, I
yeah,
said, well, fuck this. Like, if it's going to be hard, then for the hard thing I'm going to choose to do is I'm going to seek a better outcome. I'll go on my own and
yeah.
get my own clients and seek better compensation and stuff like that. Because that's hard too, but it's like between two hard things, I think that has the possibility for a better outcome.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you're right. I guess if you can't get through the door, then you just got to find your own way, right? I mean,
Exactly.
uh, probably
Yeah.
a
And
little
so,
better way to phrase that, but
mhm,
yeah, I mean, yeah, because you are waiting for somebody to, take you on or take the risk or employ you. And if, sometimes it's just a numbers game and maybe it just doesn't happen, but you got to forge your own way forward. And that's definitely one of them.
yeah. Yeah. And it's the thing that inspired that thought for me was like you mentioned jobs with hundreds or even thousands of applicants. I've certainly heard of that too. And it's like, is that the winning strategy? Like to be applicant number 1,247, you know?
Yeah.
Um, Probably not.
No.
Like that, those are long odds. And so my my way of going about it for my own consulting work has been like, obviously this thing is one. I've upped it from 2 sessions a week to now 6 sessions a week.
Yeah.
And then I have my podcast. I've just been trying to talk to as many people as I can. And that has worked a little less well than I expected. I've been getting more than nothing out of that. But just like being one of hundreds or thousands of applicants to a job, that just it doesn't feel like a good strategy.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. Um, okay. Well, after that, extremely optimistic and cheerful talk, let's come back to this. Bundle install path. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and why? Yeah, yeah, why? Okay. Those are not very satisfying answers though, because like these things, just skimming over it, it seems like these things could be said of any folder. So like why vendor bundle specifically?
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm gonna do this just locally. Okay, the vendor directory has traditionally been used in software third-party code. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, separation from system gems, that makes sense. Okay. Okay, well, I guess I find that satisfying enough. Um, so I'm gonna go to my Docker file. And by the way, unlike CircleCI or GitHub Actions, Saturn doesn't use YAML files for configuration. It just uses Docker.
Okay.
Um, so I'm gonna do this. And let's make a new branch. Yeah. Whoops. Um, okay. Okay. So I want to create a new branch called cache bundle install. Oh, it already exists. All right. I shall delete it. Yeah. Okay. Set path to vendor bundle, I'll say. Oh, yeah. Okay. I want to do that. I want to let it build in the cloud just to make sure that everything still works after I have made that change. Okay, so we do that, and then it has us do this S3 command. I'm going to copy paste this just to see it better. Whoops. Okay, so it takes this MD5 sum of the gemfile.lock and then creates a file called that. Okay. Um, I'm gonna do this. Do MD5 sum. Okay. Gemfile.lock. And then what was it? AWK print one. Okay. 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 So that's apparently how we get our MD5 sum of the gem file lock. So I'm going to create a script. Well, I guess I can just do it here. I mean, I can I could do some of the stuff here. Just thinking out loud, it bothers me how not modular my build script is. Because right now, the only way for me to test any change is for me to run the whole thing. But it's not clear to me what I might do about that. Anyway, maybe that'll become clearer to me soon. But where does this come into the picture? We get the MD5 sum of the gemfile.lock, and then we upload it, and we download it. Hmm. Yeah, okay. Bundle config set local. Hmm. Oh, okay. Hmm. Okay, I'm thinking of like, okay, if I do this and it's successful, how would I know? I think the most mysterious part right now is like the S3 upload. I don't know how to set that up and all that stuff. So I think maybe what I want to do first is just do some S3 upload is okay. DigitalOcean Spaces. I want to do a DigitalOcean Spaces upload because I've never done that before in my life. Let me just upload some file to see if I can do that. Okay. And do I happen to have that locally? S3 CMD. No, I don't. Okay. Okay. How? Oh, you know what? Maybe I don't even want to do this. Maybe I don't want to do this with Bash. Maybe I want to do it with a Ruby SDK.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say.
Yeah, but actually, why would I do it with the Ruby SDK? I'm not actually sure that that would be better because this stuff is kind of,
Versus just having like a bash script.
yeah, because this stuff is like kind of separate from the behavior of the application. Let's see. Okay, upload. Okay. So I need my job machine to have the S3 CMD thing installed. And at what stage? Okay, I'm going to ask it this. At what stage in the process do I upload the gem file.lock file to DigitalOcean Spaces. Right after cloning the user repository and before starting any operations that might modify it, such as bundle install. Okay, I guess that makes sense to me. Okay, so I clone the repo and then I do this. Okay. Okay. So I feel like I want a way to like just run the job up to this point. Hmm. Well, maybe there's an easy way to do that. Is I can always just do this. Um, okay. Okay. And then I'll say, but S3 CMD will not have been installed. Oh, I can use curl for the upload. Okay. For fewer, I want fewer dependencies to install so that the job may run faster. Let's use curl. Hmm. Well, if that's more complicated, maybe I don't want to do it yet. Maybe I'll do it the slower, simpler way as kind of a proof of concept, and then come back and do it the more complicated way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'll do it like this. Okay. Is this where I wanted to do it? Docker file. That's the production Docker file. Okay. Wait, I'm confused. Do I install anything here? No. Okay. Maybe I want to do it here. Okay. Although actually maybe I just want to put it close to where it's being used. Okay. Okay, space name path. So I guess let's create some kind of space in DigitalOcean. I don't know where space would be. Oh, here it is. I mean, maybe this is it. Is this a loading indicator? Oh, okay. Create a spaces bucket. Okay. Okay, NYC3, is that the one I'm using for other stuff? Um, I'm using NYC1. I don't know if it matters, but good to be consistent. Okay, it's not supported. I guess I'll use 3 then. Okay. For now, I'm just going to call it test bucket. Oh, test bucket already exists. Okay. Saturn test bucket. Actually, I'll say SaturnCI test bucket. Okay. $5 a month. You're killing me. Okay. Try to keep expenses very low on this project since it's not making any money. Okay. Yes. Uh-huh. Hmm. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna do some of this stuff manually. Oh no. Okay. So whatever I did on this caused a problem. Um, yeah. Oh, okay. All right, so let's shift focus for a second back to this other thing. Um, Docker file. I think I need to set the default path to vendor bundle. Uh, The bundle install apparently didn't work. I think I need to set the default path to vendor bundle. Nick, do you have any kind of active Ruby community anywhere near where you live?
No, that's kind of I've been wanting to find some kind of a Ruby community, and there's just I moved away and I moved back here
Mm-hmm.
around 2020, and there's just never been any groups pick back up much. And even the online ones locally that were meeting have kind of dwindled away. There wasn't a real strong Ruby community, and that's kind of what caught my attention when I was watching some of your videos, like on about procs and other things that were really
Mm-hmm.
helpful. And I saw that you
Oh,
mentioned
thanks.
you have this meetup, and I was
Oh, yeah.
excited to kind of discuss Ruby and Rails and programming with people again.
Yeah. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. The attendance varies quite a bit. Sometimes I've had as many as like 35 people join.
Oh, that's
Most of
great.
the time it's just well, for these weekday ones so far, it's just like 1 or 2 people.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just me even. But then there's one that happens Wednesday evenings at 6, and that's kind of the biggest one. Yeah,
Yeah, I
just
saw that on the calendar, and I figured maybe they had a bit more attendance just from the time, and I'm
yeah.
sure it works with people's schedules more.
Yeah, and I actually used to have much better attendance, but then I changed the time twice and a lot of people fell off. Um, okay, but I'm expecting that it'll slowly grow again over time. Okay, so we're setting the global path. Let's see if that fixes things. Okay, and something kind of nice about this new SSH capability is that I can SSH in. Oh, it's waiting for the job to be ready. I feel like I want the dots to appear more frequently. When it's only one dot per 5 seconds, it doesn't feel like anything is happening.
Oh, that's right, because you're using five for the sleep.
Yeah, I need to be more entertained while I'm waiting for
I
the
understand.
SSH to be ready. Yeah, I think only, I think it should only check every 5 seconds, but it should still show me a dot like every 1 second,
Yeah.
just so I can feel like something's happening. Connection refused. Okay, so I guess that's still a problem. Oh no, still connection refused. Okay, I don't know what's up with that. I'm not going to switch focus right now, but obviously that should probably be addressed at some point. Okay, so now I can do tail dash F var log syslog. And here we can see it doing some stuff. I think all this stuff so far is just like DigitalOcean system stuff as opposed to anything I'm asking it to do with my script. But I'm tailing this so that I can get feedback perhaps earlier than getting feedback here. And eventually I want this to show in real time, but I think the caching is maybe a higher priority. Okay, anyway, back to the caching. Yeah, so this is apparently how you set up S3 CMD. So what I don't like about what this seems to mean is there seems to be like a semi-manual configuration step. And obviously that's no good if we're doing automated builds. But maybe there's a way to make it not require human intervention every time. Okay, you can specify a different configuration, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to copy, can't select everything because maybe this. Okay. How can I set up S3 CMD on a VM without human intervention? And I'll check on my machine. Okay. It says pulling Chrome, pulling Redis. So I guess it's doing oh yeah, running pre.sh. That's something of mine. So it's doing my stuff, not just the DigitalOcean system stuff now. Oh, and we get the same error. Interesting. But it's still doing stuff. I guess just because it encounters an error doesn't mean the script stops. All right, I'm going to go out of this, except it's not letting me. Maybe it killed the machine by now. Looks like maybe it did. Okay. Well, I guess we should address this before we continue with the caching stuff. Okay. That's not where it was. It was Docker file. No. Yeah, I was where I wanted to be. I want to go to here and I want to go right after. Right after. right after the build, I think. And then I want to exit. Yeah. Okay. So if I restart this job, then the job machine will stay up because I'm exiting the script early, so it won't send a signal to kill itself. Um, and then I can do some experimentation to see what's wrong. So for some reason, when an attempt is made to run RSpec, it thinks that that gem is not installed.
Yeah.
So, and it worked before I messed with the config path. So
Yeah.
obviously something about this is screwy. I just don't know exactly what yet. So I guess the first thing I want to confirm, the first thing I want to check, I want to see if vendor bundle has gems in it. Okay. I want to go to project root directory, which is home, Ubuntu project. Yeah. Okay. And then vendor bundle. I don't know if anything's supposed to be there yet because I don't know what's happening right now. I'll do tail dash F, bear log, syslog. And instead of context switching back to the caching stuff, I think I'll actually just sit here and wait idly because on balance, I think that'll actually be more productive than switching to something else and then switching back.
Yeah.
It's kind of a funny thing. It's like not socially acceptable to just like sit there and wait for something. Like you're supposed to be productive all the time.
Yeah. I feel that pressure I put on myself about that, but you're right about context switching because when I'm working on things, I sometimes find myself in that kind of a lull, and you want to go do try to be productive, so you want to switch to something real quick, and but it can kind of trip you up a bit if you're jumping back and forth too much.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do that like when I'm getting like when I'm on a paid job, like if I run a test suite and it takes 15 minutes, it depends on the scenario, but sometimes I'll just like not do anything during that 15 minutes because I believe it's actually more productive to do that than to switch to something else and then have to switch back, especially because it certainly has happened a lot of times where I like switch to something else and I like forget what the main thing I'm working on is.
Yeah.
And like I switch to some secondary, less important thing, but then I get so focused on that that I forget about the thing that's actually more important. And so overall less value is delivered. So even though it like feels wrong, I think there's a case to be
Sometimes it's the
made
right
for
thing to
just
do.
sitting there. What's that?
Sometimes it's the right decision to make.
Yeah.
Because yeah, even small things, I've thought, oh, I can just jump over here and work on this one little other thing that's bothering me, and then you realize that it's kind of a rabbit hole in itself.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that finished, and I did see gems going across the screen, which is very not surprising. Um, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get. Oh yeah, there it is. So you can see here it's installing gems, and let's look at vendor bundle. Hmm. Okay, there is no vendor bundle folder. Interesting. Okay, so why might that be?
Maybe that path's not getting set properly, or
Could be. Okay, so I want to try to like reproduce this bug. Whoops. Okay, so I'm running the Docker Compose build again. Interesting. Um, so that stuff is all cached on this machine. And let's just make sure, like, yeah, okay. The Docker file it's going off of is this. Okay, and if I do like, no, I didn't mean to do that. Okay. Okay, Docker Compose run. Oh, whoops. Okay. Docker, no. Okay, Docker Compose run, blah, blah, blah. Okay, what's something that would need gems to be installed but doesn't actually do much? Can I do like rspec version? No. Oh, Rails-V. Okay. Bundle exec Rails-V. Okay, so Docker Compose is installing its dependencies right now. I didn't realize this was such a time taker upper. Maybe some of this stuff can be cached too. Okay. Yeah, command not found Rails. And then if we, what happens if we do bundle install? So it's obviously downloading some gems, but the question is to where? And will it work this time? Like, is it doing it differently this time and will it work this time? Okay, now I'm going to try that Rails command again and see whether it works or not. Okay, it did work that time. Now, did that work because this time it got installed the vendor, uh, what was it? Vendor bundle. Did it work because it got installed the vendor bundle, or did it work for some other reason? And it looks like maybe it worked because it got installed the vendor bundle.
yeah.
And let's test that proposition by killing vendor bundle. See if this works or not. Okay. Yeah, so it looks like the problem is that initially the gems aren't getting installed the vendor bundle. And that is interesting. Um, and like I wonder if it's an issue of the directory. I wonder if it's an issue of a failure to create the vendor bundle directory or some other reason? Let's see.
Could we like create the directory beforehand?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I don't have. Can I do VI? Okay. Okay. So I don't know the Docker command for creating a directory. Maybe it's just make dir. Hmm, maybe not. Okay. I'm gonna do this though. I'm gonna I'm gonna go out of here and I'm going to go to the Docker file. Oops. How do I make dir? Got to wrap up in just a second, by the way.
Okay.
Hmm. Yeah, worth a shot. Hmm. And for some reason, it put these into one, so I guess I'll do that too. Didn't actually do it the same way. Hmm. But I think I do want to set the global path for the current project only. Oh, current. Okay, whatever. All right. So I will say, oh, whoops, I didn't want that comment there. Okay, add vendor, manually create bundle, vendor bundle directory. Okay. And we're at time here, so I guess we will have to pick this up next time. Um, yeah, let's see. Okay, but I do want to leave a hanging loose end so I can be easily reminded of what I was working on. So, okay, manually create. Hmm. Okay, so what happens next? Either this will succeed or fail. If it succeeds, then I guess we turn our attention back to the caching. And if it fails, then what? Well, then I guess we just need to keep trying to
Figuring out why.
diagnose it. Yeah. Okay. If this succeeds, turn to the caching. If this fails, keep troubleshooting. Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Nick, for joining me, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks.